Long ago, in the mighty kingdom of Babylon, there was a powerful ruler named Nebuchadnezzar. He was the greatest king of his time, ruling over vast lands and towering cities. His name struck fear and admiration into the hearts of many. He had built wonders, conquered nations, and established an empire that seemed unstoppable. His armies were feared, his wealth was unmatched, and his influence stretched far and wide. But Nebuchadnezzar's story is not just one of power. It is a story of pride, downfall, and redemption. Babylon was the jewel of the ancient world. Its walls were so thick that chariots could ride along them. Its towers touched the skies, and its streets were filled with merchants, scholars, and craftsmen from every corner of the earth. And at the heart of this great city stood Nebuchadnezzar, the man who had made it all possible. Nebuchadnezzar was a man of great ambition. He built the magnificent hanging gardens of Babylon, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. It was said to be a paradise in the sky, built for his queen, who longed for the green hills of her homeland. He constructed grand palaces, mighty walls, and temples covered in gold. Every structure was a testament to his greatness. One evening, as the sun set over Babylon, turning the sky into hues of gold and crimson, Nebuchadnezzar stood on his palace rooftop, gazing over his vast empire. His eyes filled with pride as he took in the sight of the great city, its bustling streets, and the mighty Euphrates River flowing through its heart. With a satisfied smile, he declared, "Nebuchadnezzar," proudly, full of confidence. "Is this not the great Babylon that I have built as my royal residence, by my mighty power and for the glory of my majesty?" But there was a warning. One night, the king had a troubling dream, a dream unlike any he had experienced before. It was vivid, unsettling, and left him restless. He called upon his wise men, magicians, and astrologers, demanding that they explain its meaning, but none could interpret it. Then he remembered Daniel, a man of great wisdom, a servant of the Most High God. Nebuchadnezzar summoned Daniel to his court and described his dream in detail. Daniel listened carefully, and when he spoke, his voice was solemn. Daniel, humbly, with concern, "O king, the dream you have seen is a warning. You will be driven away from people and live like a wild animal. You will eat grass like an ox, and 7 years will pass until you acknowledge that the Most High rules over the kingdoms of men. But when you humble yourself before God, your kingdom will be restored." A hush fell over the great hall. The king sat in silence, contemplating Daniel's words. The warning was clear. Yet, as time passed, Nebuchadnezzar pushed the words to the back of his mind. A year passed, and his heart remained unchanged. He continued to revel in his own greatness, believing that his empire was the work of his own hands. Then, one fateful day, as he stood once more on his grand palace, looking over his kingdom, a voice from heaven declared, voice from heaven, powerful, echoing, "King Nebuchadnezzar, your royal authority has been taken from you. You will be driven away and live with the wild animals until you acknowledge that the Most High is sovereign over all." At that very moment, something strange and terrifying happened. A wave of confusion and madness washed over Nebuchadnezzar. The pride that had filled his heart was replaced with fear and uncertainty. His mind became clouded. The splendor of his palace, the power of his throne, it all slipped from his grasp. His royal robes were left behind as he fled into the wilderness. His servants watched in shock as their mighty ruler, once adorned in fine garments and crowned with gold, now wandered aimlessly into the fields. The great king of Babylon had become like a beast. Nebuchadnezzar lived among the animals. The one who once commanded armies now roamed the wild. The one who had dined on the finest foods now ate grass like an ox. His hair grew long and tangled, his nails thick and curved like the claws of a bird. His mighty voice, which had once commanded obedience, was reduced to incoherent murmurs. For 7 long years the once mighty king roamed the fields, a shadow of the ruler he once was. His palace stood without him, his throne left empty. His kingdom, though still standing, was ruled by uncertainty. People whispered about the fall of their king. Some pitied him, others feared that the gods had cursed him. The great Nebuchadnezzar, who had ruled over nations, was now nothing more than a lost and broken man. But then something remarkable happened. One day, as he wandered, Nebuchadnezzar lifted his eyes to the heavens. Perhaps it was desperation. Perhaps it was a moment of clarity after years of suffering. But in that instant he recognized the truth, that all power and greatness belonged to God alone.